Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, mental health is an important topic and one that I'm pleased to see this government seems to be taking seriously. Now, there's very clear evidence to show that most mental health issues have first onset by age 24, and untreated mental illness has significant implications for academic success, productivity, substance use, and social relationships. Addressing mental health in Alberta's post-secondary system absolutely must be a priority. To the Minister of Advanced Education, this year marks the end of the 3-year plan that allocated $12.5 million to post-secondary mental health. In your opinion, has this been an effective program?
Minister of Advanced Education.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the honourable member for the question. Of course, we've heard loud and clear from students all across the province that the value provided from the programs that were initiated under the previous round of funding that was allocated to those programs, and certainly I'm working with my colleague, the Minister of Health, to look at options for continuing to support mental health services on campuses all across this province.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad we seem to agree it's a worthwhile program, but I think very clearly it's one that is in need of improvement. Now, the current program treats students in Alberta's Schedule I universities differently than the rest. Per capita funding was in some cases 30 times higher. Students at NAIT received $4 per full-time learner equivalent in mental health funding, where the University of Lethbridge received $146 per FLE. To the same minister, do you agree that this inequity is absurd and should have been addressed sooner?
Minister of Advanced Education.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the honourable member for pointing out the fact that the previous round of funding wasn't, in fact, given on a per capita basis. One of the things that we need to address is that access to mental health services is not equitable across the province, and so a student at NAIT, for example, lives in a large city that has more access to mental health services in the surrounding community than perhaps a student in Lethbridge or Grand Prairie would have access to. And so providing equitable mental health funding is a priority for this government going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad that the Minister and I are on the same page on this one. I wish, though, that you'd address the issue sooner. You still have an opportunity, though. The students in Alberta's 26 post-secondary institutions, we I'm sure agree, are key to our continued prosperity as well as economic diversification in Alberta. But they need the tools to succeed, and that includes especially support for their mental well-being, which is enabled through stable, predictable, and equitable funding that does not discriminate against students based on what school they choose to attend. To the Minister of Advanced Education again, Mr. Speaker, will you commit to providing stable, equitable, long-term funding?
Thank you, honourable member. Minister of Advanced Education.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the acknowledgement that the honourable member and I are on the same page, which is odd because he's usually on the same page as the Wild Rose and the PCs. At any rate, we are looking forward to making sure that predictable, sustainable funding is in place for all of our post-secondary institutions across the province, and that will include mental health supports for our students.